Alright folks, so I'm going to go ahead and show you this master cylinder here on this Edsel. I've been working on this thing on and off for the last few months here and kind of running a few issues on the idler arm, but I'll show you all that in a second. But I finally got this dual master cylinder here. It's got a 1-inch bore on it. It's just a manual drum brake master cylinder. And it's for a, I believe it's a 69 Mustang, I believe is what I ordered it for. But it's a 1-inch bore, and of course it's a dual master cylinder. And it bolts up just fine, because like I said, this car originally, it had a single master cylinder, the Suicide master cylinders. And I mean, I ain't got nothing against them. My personal preference, I'm not going to run them on my vehicles. I just, for safety concerns, basically. So, went ahead, I got to plumb up one more brake line here to the rear brakes. I got this one plumbed up here. I got to, of course, flare it, put a fitting on it. I'm going to try and straighten that coil out a little bit better than that. But, everything bolted up just fine on it. And it is for a 69 Mustang with, drum brakes, obviously. And it is a wall inside that separates the front and rear brakes, and I believe it is set up so that this is your front brakes on the back and then this is your rear brakes on the front. So I will plumb that back the way it was, like if it was on a Mustang. I'm trying to do this one-handed here. And it does have the wall inside that separates them, and I showed that on the 89 F-150 here. So there is, I don't want to get dirt in it, but there is a wall there that separates the two, so that way if you lose front or rear brakes, that's the whole point of having a dual piston master cylinder. But the other side of it too is you have a little wall right there that separates it too, because on the modern, let me close this thing up so I don't get a bunch of dirt in it, plastic reservoir master cylinders, yeah, it's a wall there, but it's got a little indentation at the bottom, and it'll actually run itself all the way down. There is no true wall that separates the front and the rear. And that's what happened to my Durango, and it run the master cylinder completely down. And of course, you got the proportional valve. You have that too. It's a little valve in it that's supposed to slide back and forth, that shuts off fluid from the front to the rear, or vice versa, rear to front. If you happen to either, lose brake line pressure anywhere, or master cylinder, not a master cylinder, a wheel cylinder fails or something like that. But they don't always work either, so you can't really depend on that all the time. But this is a much safer method of doing it. It's a dual master cylinder, so that's a nice upgrade, a huge upgrade for this car. And plus it's got that wall across. This is this type of master cylinder I'm going to run on my 89 F-150. That way I ain't got to ever worry about it, and I'm going to probably end up doing the same thing to my Durango eventually. Just swap it out for an old cast iron one like this. Just a little safety upgrade at it there. I mean, it won't be a 1-inch bore, of course. The one from my 89 F-150 is 1 inch and 1/16, and then the Durango I think is probably typically 1 inch and 1/8. But then again, it's more for GM type stuff. But so we ended up getting this on here. And like I said, it's for 69 Mustang. And the issue I did have is the push rod issue, if you're wondering about that, for the brake pedal to this master cylinder. Well, let me tell you about that a little bit. You actually really need, in reality, you need an adjustable push rod. And you don't need much, but it needs an adjustable push rod. I'll show you that. So don't mind this, crappy wiring. Trying to straighten all this mess out. There's our fuse panel. Yeah, I hate this fuse panel. Alright, so there's our push rod right there. And the only difference between a power and a non, in quotations, power master cylinder is it's got this little grommet on the back. That's it. It's a little machine groove on the back of that master cylinder. If it's smooth, it's for a power brake setup. If it's got a little groove machined in, it's got this little rubber grommet that goes on the back, and that bolts to the firewall. But that's the only difference between them two. I figured I'd show that. And everything's the exact same. It's just got the machine groove on the back of that master cylinder. That's it. But that way you can slide that boot on there. That's all it is. But this is a original push rod for 59 Edsel. And this car did not have one. And this is the correct one This is off of another Edsel. So I know all that's correct, and of course it's set up for a single master cylinder. And don't mind all this, you know, junk here, because somebody would try to wire up the brake lights, and they try to do it like a GM style, where it's got this little brake light switch right here, and you push the pedal down, then it, you know, a little button comes out. You got brake lights, and then you don't. And then you got brake lights, then you don't. Dang, that's a firm pedal there. I ain't even hooked the lines up yet. I better not do it too much. I don't want to spray brake fluid everywhere. But anyway, so that's what we got there. Somebody made that little stupid plate. But you really, in reality, kind of need a little bit longer pedal bracket here, because you can kind of pull this back a little. See? Okay, let me show you all a better view of this. So you kind of got a little play there. So you need one just a little bit longer, so the pedal is all the way up like it's supposed to. But you gotta kind of ignore this. This is not correct. We're gonna get rid of all this. I'm gonna have a similar setup like this, but it's not gonna be, you know, all tacky like it. So we're gonna fix this correct. I'll get a bracket and make it, and do that. They were going the right direction, you know, but it wasn't the right way of doing it. So we're gonna correct that. But so you can't really, honestly, the pedal is stopping because it's hitting this bracket here, but at the same time, it's supposed to be another bracket that's on this pedal, and I think I kind of figured out what's going on here. I think I have. I think they've cut it off or something, because it looks like on this side over here it was cut, but I can't say for sure. It looks like it, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it looks like. But I think it's been cut off. So let me see what's going on. I might have to switch this pedal out. Nice thing is, for a 59 Edsel, you can unbolt this brake pedal here. So you can get one off of a manual car, and this brake pedal down here comes right off, and you can bolt the manual style one up. This more narrow. This is for automatic, and then you got the narrow one for like the 3-speed cars. And you can actually unbolt just this piece here, and I'll swap that out for a 3-speed setup. So you just change these out. The brake pedals are the exact same. And the pedal assembly, everything's the exact same. You just add in your clutch pedal, and there you go. You know, you got your setup for a 3-speed, or you can go 4-speed if you want. But we're not doing that to this car. But it's a nice thing about it. And by the way, you cannot buy these. These are actually a little bit wider and longer than the Ford style. Like in my 78 Ford, they had that style too. But these are actually a little bit wider and a little bit longer. So they do not repop those at all, and you can't take a new style reproduction and put on there, because the rubber pedal pad that goes on top of your actual pedal here is actually smaller, and it will not work. But I mean, I'm sure you could retrofit something to make it work, but these little rubber pads here are like impossible to get. And that's, I don't know if somebody put this on here. I don't really know if this car actually had power brakes or not, but this is from a original power brake car. It might have had power brakes, I don't know. But and you cannot go by that booster and all that stuff I took off, because that wasn't even correct for this car. But let me show you what I'm talking about. I think this pedal's missing that bracket right here, and I'm going to probably end up swapping this whole pedal out. And I think somebody's going to cut that off. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so these are the same. I'll show y'all real quick. So the pedal pads, here's an example here. They're worn down quite a bit on my 89 F-150. These are the same. And you could buy the same rubber pedal pads. Don't care about the pedals, but just these rubber pads here. You can buy those, and those will work on an Edsel. They are the same. So I figured I would show that. There's Max. They are the same as these right here. So they're the same. You can replace just these. These are original FOMO Co ones here. But this is a pedal assembly out of a 59 Edsel as well. And I think what happened is this bracket, if you look up here, at this bracket right here on our brake pedal, see, it's got this rubber stop right here, and it stops on our pedal assembly. Okay. And if you notice, they're lined up pretty close to being even. Now, of course, my car's automatic, so I don't have a clutch pedal. Ignore that. But see how they're even right here? And this bracket, it's actually welded on to this pedal right here. I'm thinking what they did is they come in here and cut this off. So I'm gonna have to probably end up swapping this pedal out, and there's a good example of it. See, it's like an L bracket here, and it's welded to this assembly, and that's what makes it stop. But let me pull this thing down so y'all can see, because this is kind of pretty rare stuff here. So let me get this thing down. Hold on. All right, so here's a really good view of it. So this is what we're missing. This is just this piece right here, and it's welded to this pedal here. So I actually bought this pedal assembly and all that a while back, and for another 59 Edsel I almost bought out of Idaho from Little Country Girl and all that, but that deal didn't work out, unfortunately. But it was a 59 Ranger, but I don't think this came out of that car. It might have, but I kind of doubt it. But anyway, I bought all the pedal assembly, and I bought the Z-bar. I bought the whole complete clutch linkage if I ever wanted to convert mine to a 3-speed or a 4-speed. But I have everything to do it. The only thing I do not have is a 3-speed steering column. I just never got around to buying that. I was going to buy from literally the steering wheel all the way down to the shifting rods and everything. And I had the bad part about it is I got a real good deal on it, but I never did buy it. But I'm thank God I bought this. These are impossible to find. And these things, I tell you what, if it's you got a pedal assembly on anything anymore, it don't matter if it's a Chevelle or even something like this old truck here. I mean, these pedal assemblies, it's like these pedal assemblies are a gold mine. They're worth more than the truck. I mean, people are selling these things for like $300-400, and I'm like, y'all are fucking crazy. I just, you know, I don't know. I don't get it. I really don't. But so I'm gonna probably take this apart here, and I just wanted to point that out too. But these are the exact same pedal pads, just the rubber pads. That's what's on this truck here. So you can get those. Those ain't an issue, but you can buy those. They're all the same. Just the rubber pads are, and these are actually really nice ones. These are original Ford ones, but they're not really torn up or nothing. They must come off a fairly low mileage car. They say if it doesn't have a lot of wear on them like that, then they're not too bad, but they're not really worn out. But like what I was saying, is like this style for like an automatic, and if you try and put that on like my Edsel, you're not going to work because it's more narrow. It's not as wide, it's not as long. So yeah, they're kind of one of their own. They are the same, however, for I think they actually might reproduce them now. I had to look, but I'm pretty sure they don't. But they look exactly like this. They're just longer and wider, and they're all made into like a plate that bolts up. This one, see, this one bolts up too. But here, I'll show you this pedal assembly here. But there's your return spring for your clutch here. But yeah, see, it just unbolts right here, and you pop this whole thing off and throw an automatic one on here, and you never really know. But all you got to do is take this clutch pedal and all this out, and you could put that automatic one in here, and then you never know. But you ain't got to swap the whole pedal assembly out. But this one's nice. I mean, that's all the original factory paint and everything. But I had this thing nice and cleaned up. Now it's got dust all over it. But this one was really good shape. But see, these are the original Ford ones. Kind of cool. But it's horrible camera work here. But yeah, there's that Fomoco right there. Fomoco there, and then Fomoco over here. There's our original. So that makes it nice. But that's besides the point. And of course, you got your fuse panel. This is how the Edsels, and even just the Galaxies too, like the 59 Galaxies. I'm sure, you know, all the other years are kind of not much different. But the fuse panel is right here. You just push them in and twist it, and that's it. And then you just push it in and twist it the opposite direction to pull it out, and the fuse goes inside here. But yeah, it's kind of a crappy design. You have a 3, 6, 9, 12 circuit harness right here. And this is off of a 59 Edsel, because a 58 and a 59 Edsel is two different pedal assemblies. So a 58 is one of a kind, a 59 is one of a kind, a 60 is one of a kind. And you know, like I always said, I'm trying to help, you know, anybody out there that's got a 59 Edsel out there. You know, I want to help y'all as much as I can. I mean, I apologize, my videos are kind of crappy, but I figured I would show this because you can't find nothing on them. It's like this huge mystery on them, really. But they're really not that difficult. But the push rod, the reason I was showing all this is I'm going to probably take this pedal out of this one And like I was showing how they're even just about, because of the stop down here. When you push it up like that, the stop is supposed to stop it. I think they went in there and they cut that off. I don't know why they would do that. They must have cut it off so they could put that, upgrade it to a brake light switch, so that, make the brake lights come on and off when you step on the pedal. But more to that in a second, why they did that. But that's the only thing I can figure, is they must have cut the whole thing off on this side and just did away with it, which is stupid. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, I don't know why you would do that, but oh well. But I'm gonna probably end up taking this brake pedal out of this one, and they're the exact same as the automatic. Nothing's different. So I'll probably take this whole thing out, and it's just a little cotter pin down here. Take this little pin out, just push that out, and then you just flip it on this side, and then you just take this clutch pedal out, and have to take this spring off. What you can do is you just push this clutch pedal down to let the pressure off like that. Push it down like that, and you just take it. Spring comes right off, just like that. That gets the tension off the pedal. And then once you take that little pin out down there, just push that out and take a screwdriver, pry it out, and you should be able to take your clutch pedal and everything and just pull it straight on out. And these are a fine thread, by the way. I figured I would show that too, because not much information on that. But this is a fine thread. This is where the master cylinder bolted on. The single master cylinder used all 4 bolts, but the dual one I'm using only uses the 2 lower ones. But these are a 5/16 fine thread. I believe they are a 5/16, I want to say 24 thread, but they are a fine thread. And just always make sure you get the correct threads there. They're all fine thread. So and I use 1-inch 5/16 fine thread, 1-inch bolts on all 4 of them. But to make up, the difference of the master cylinders are a little bit thicker, I believe, on that dual one at the bottom. Then the single one's a little bit shorter. But it's like a plate that's actually made on the single one that uses all 4 of these. But it's a little cloth piece, by the way. If you want to see how the clutch pedal and all has that stop on, here's your stop right there. But it's just like almost looks like some kind of, not really cloth, but almost like it's a piece out of a tire or something. I don't know. It's not really cloth, but I mean, this is all original pedal assembly. I mean, this has never been altered at all, so everything's the same. But it's a little stop for it, so yeah, that's all you gotta do. Knock that pin out and pull the clutch out, and this brake pedal will drop right on out. Nothing to it. Don't need any special tools or nothing. And there is the spring. So if you need a spring reference, there it is. So that's what it looks like. Kind of looks like a hood hinge spring, but it's not. Notice how the hooks are offset to each other. You got this one turning this way, and then this one's kind of going the other direction. So see how they're kind of all set to each other. But I figured I would show this. But so I'm gonna take this pedal out of this one and correct that, and then maybe that'll it's probably the part of the issue that way, because when you pull that pedal up a little bit, you got a little play there. So I'm gonna swap this out, see if it gets rid of it, which it should. And that'll straighten all that back out, and it'll restore that pedal assembly in that car back to original. And like I said, the brackets, everything's the exact same. The brake pedal and the actual bracket that bolts to the firewall, all that is the exact same. The only difference is they just threw a clutch pedal in there. So that's the only difference. Now, if it was automatic, it'd just have a pin that goes through with the cotter key. And well, not a cotter key, but a clip, actually, is what it is. It's just a clip. But it's just a long pin that goes through. So really, in reality, if you got an automatic car, all you need to buy is just this clutch pedal. That's it. And you have to swap out this little piece down here for your brake pedal. It just unbolts. It's a 9/16 inch, I believe. But so that kind of makes it really nice. So you don't have to take the brake pedal and all that out. So that kind of makes it nice. But yep, that's what it looks like. I figured I would show that. So I'm trying to straighten this out, and Get all that mess taken care of yet. Huh, what's that up there? What's that up there? I see something in the woods. It looks like a, holy cow, it is. It's a Edsel. Yep, sure is. Yep, it's a 59 Edsel. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm gonna switch that out and see if we can come down here and we can get some of this play out of here and straighten that out. I don't think our push rod's gonna be an issue, because like I said, that push rod came out of that pedal assembly I just showed y'all, and there is 2 bushings on here, and there's a, I believe it's a 3/4 inch bolt, but there's a bushing that goes right here, and then you got the push rod, and then there's another bushing on the other side. And then, of course, you got the nut on the end. And all that's original. It's never been altered. So that's the way Ford would have had it. And, you know, this is not just an Edsel thing. This was the exact same concept on a 59 Ford to a Fairlane, a Galaxy, a Custom 300. All that would have been the same. Because they're actually, a 59 Ford dash is the exact same. The only thing really is different is this instrument cluster right here and the heater control assembly. And I think it's about it. And a little bit of the trim is a little different, but it's not much difference. Because in 59 they were based more on a 59 Ford than they were a actual Edsel themselves, if you really think about it. Because if you put a 59 Galaxy front clip on this car, it'd be a 59 Ford. But there's the tag. But yeah, it would have been a Mercury, Edsel, and Lincoln. That's what MIL stands for. And it's even got the date code. This was manufactured, the transmission type that was in it, the axle type, and the body color and everything. So, and this is a, I think this was a Dearborn, Michigan car, I'm pretty sure. But I'm pretty sure it was made in Dearborn, Michigan. But if you're wondering down here what in the world this is, I actually think I showed that. Don't mind this wiring, but I'll show you this real quick. But this is a little pedal you push here, and you would pump that, and that squirted windshield washer fluid on your windshield. That's what that's for. But you had to manually do it with your foot. Yep. So that's what I think has happened up here. Because if you look on this side, right in here where my finger is, I think they went in there and they cut it off for some reason, and we're missing that little stop. So they must have cut it off so they could put this here. I don't understand why they did that. So hopefully I'm gonna swap these pedals out. It's not, this pedal's not ruined. It can be fixed. That little plate can be made and welded back on. That's not a big deal. But we'll put that back on, and I think that should, I think, correct all this, because I want the pedal to be up where it's supposed to be and set where it's supposed to be. I don't want it, you know, hanging down there like that. So we'll correct all that. But yeah, I think definitely got a little firm pedal. I ain't even hooked the lines up. But gravity kind of fed it a little bit, kind of letting it bleed itself, so to speak, the master cylinder. So now, of course, I use typical .3 brake fluid, which is pretty much everything, just about. I'll work on just about anything. But you gotta be careful about that brake fluid. It's very corrosive, but this is not a show car, so I'm not that worried about it. But I did paint all that up a little bit. Now it looks kind of crappy and cruddy looking now. I'll put a new fuel pump on it. But I gotta do plug wires because we had some varmints there, chew them up. But the intake is going to go here soon, and the valve covers are going to go. And I keep everything that comes off this car. I got the original distributor and all that stuff, so I always keep everything. That will never be separated from this car, and it will always stay with this car. I don't ever plan on selling it. This car is not for sale. But I figured I always keep everything, so if I ever want to put it back original, everything, I can bolt everything back up. The only thing I don't have is the master cylinder and the correct style fuel pump, because the correct style it was a dual action fuel pump is what they call it, and it had 2 diaphragms in it. It had 2 of them now. One was the actual fuel pump diaphragm, and the other one was a vacuum diaphragm that helped the vacuum wipers, because this car had vacuum wipers. This was the top of the line Edsel here, and it still had vacuum wipers. It's just crazy, but it did. So And I like HEI. I don't like it big old ugly big distributor, but yeah, I think I'm gonna swap that cap out and then plug wires and get a different color set. Might go with black ones instead so they don't stand out so much. But I don't know. I just don't like messing with points. But it's not that I don't know how to work on points, but I like to run 12 volts to it, and it's more of running 12 volts to it and being done with it, just being simplicity. That way you ain't gotta worry about frying a coil and all that. You ain't worry about a ballast resistor and all that stuff. And it does have a 1-wire Tennessee alternator on it too. I did show that, but them brackets were kind of hard to find. But because this block, I showed that before, does not have the boss in here at the bottom to bulk the alternator up, so I had to buy that Z. It's like a Z bracket. This one right here kind of looks like a Z down here. The letter Z bracket, but offsets it so you can bolt it up. But I made a couple videos on that showing that. But it's got an alternator on it. It's got HEI, so it's been upgraded to a 1-wire alternator. It's supposed to be 105 amp is what it's advertised as. Don't know if it really is. It might realistically be like an 80 amp, but I don't know. So alternator, the charging system's been upgraded. The ignition system's been upgraded. The brakes will be upgraded. And this car is still going to get a 4-wheel disc brake conversion. That is going to happen eventually in the future, but not right now. But I would like to find, well, let me say this real quick. I will upgrade it to PCV here soon, but I would like to find a factory original air cleaner and put back on here, because this car, that was another thing, it's missing the master cylinder down there, the old single pot master cylinder, the suicide master cylinder. And so actually for now on, if you're watching, I always refer to a master cylinder being a suicide master cylinder. It was basically a single master cylinder. I don't like them really. They look cool, but they're not safe in my opinion. But yeah, it's missing the suicide master cylinder and it's missing the air cleaner. But everything else, distributor, I got everything. All right, so enough about that. I'm rambling on here. But let me get back to the one thing before I end this video. The reason why they put that brake switch on the pedal assembly down there, and they were trying to convert it here to make our, tail lights work when you step on the brake pedal. That way they come on and off. And I got to make a video on that too. I think it's the center ones that are your actual brake lights, and then your signal lights are actually these right here. And obviously your reverse lights are in the center here. But I got to completely go through all the wiring on this car. The wiring on this car is completely trashed, but they do work. But when they step on the brake pedal to make your tail lights come on there, the reason they did that and put that, upgrade it to a more modern, it's a GM style switch is what it is. I mean, you can look them up. The reason they did that is originally this car had the reverse lights and the neutral safety and your actual brake lights. So when you step on the pedal, the lights would come on, and then you let off, then they go out. But they had all that was tied into this column down here, and then when you shift the column into reverse, your reverse lights will come on, and your neutral safety, everything's built into this little conjunction switch, whatever you want to call it, right here. I apologize, there's master cylinder lines in the way, but everything's built in down here. And I guess what happened is the switch must have got burned up or just went bad or whatever, and they just didn't fix it the correct way. So I'm gonna take in fix that. So we can still run this switch for our reverse lights if we really want it, but our brake lights, I will have to swap that over, because this master cylinder here, and actually the original single one had a little I don't know what you call it, I guess like a sensor or something like that. When you step on the pedal, it would, I guess, sense brake pressure more, if it's more brake pressure, something like that. And then it would, of course, in turn, it would make contact to both points there, and then of course make the tail lights come on, your brake lights in return. But we're not going to be able to run that because this does not have a provision anywhere on this master cylinder for that, and I don't like that anyway, because that's more, in my personal opinion, I'd rather not have that because more of a chance of it leaking. So we're going to keep the brake light switch underneath our pedal, but we're going to correct all that and swap that pedal out so our pedal is at the correct height, so it's not flopping like that. So we're going to correct that, and we're going to take that nice little lovely bracket they made underneath there out, and modify it so it'll be correct. And we'll just run it like basically like a modern car, more or less. So when you step on the pedal and you let off, they come on and off like they're supposed to. But that's the reason why they did that, because on these Edsels here and these Galaxies, all that was tied in. Your neutral safety, your reverse lights, and your brake lights were all tied in onto the column down here, and the your brake lights were tied on to the master cylinder on the single one. So there's a little provision there for it. Usually it's a hole in the front for it, but it's usually a Ford thing I've seen. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's usually a Ford thing. It's a little provision on the front here, so that's why they did that. So they put that booster on here in that dual master cylinder, and they just wired it like that, because they didn't know otherwise you wouldn't have no brake lights at all, and that's not good. So that's why they did that. So I got to do the same thing, and that's not a big deal. So in theory, you could keep your reverse lights. You could keep all that original, your neutral safety and your reverse lights. All that will stay the same down there. That's what that is. And then your other wires, I guess it's these. I think it's these two green ones right here. Yeah, these are original. These actually go to your brake lights, so you could probably twist them together and your brake lights should, yeah, they will come on. They should. So we'll run these to a switch source underneath the pedal, and that should take care of all that. So it'll take care of all that good stuff. And then, of course, you know, kind of butchered the firewall up. Yeah, there it is. So I got to go in here, and I don't know, this hole right here is not original. That hole's not original. And that hole's not original, but this hole is. So I got to get another bolt and another nut and correct that. And kind of like what I did right here. I'm gonna get new washers for it. I don't like doing it like that, but I'm gonna pull this off one more time, and I'm gonna make a plate and weld this up so you'll never know. And then put our other fourth bolt in right there, and then we'll weld these two holes up here. Smooth that out, and then that way I'll correct that. And there's that little grommet, so you can see that goes on the back of the master cylinder. But yeah, they notched that out and put that booster on here. They really didn't know what they're doing, and they drilled this hole here to bolt that booster up. So glad all that junk is gone. So I'm gonna straighten all that up. But that is the reason behind why they did that, is these dual master cylinders don't have a provision for that little sensor or solenoid, whatever you want to call it. Actually, it's more of a sensor that senses brake pressure. It's kind of like a warning light. So it served as two provisions too. It served as a warning light in the dash, and I believe these had a warning light. I think they did. No, it might have been a little later thing, but mainly it's actually for the tail lights. I know that, but it might have had a brake light on this car. I'm with a thing. I don't know. This car actually had one. Not 100% sure. No, I don't think it did. Nope. But I will say this though, 58 Edsels had a brake light. No, we just got an oil light, fuel, oil, and we got a generator light and a temperature light. Yep. So that's crazy. Yep. So there is no brake warning light. So if you ever lose brake pressure, there is no light to trip. That's the way the car is designed. So I was wrong on that. But 58 Edsels did have a brake light. They did have like a warning light. I'm not sure if that was, I don't think it was actually had anything to do with the master cylinder. I think it was actually tied into the parking, or your e-brake on the car. I think that was actually tied in that. But that one I do know for a fact had a brake light on it. Like a warning light, or when you push your parking brake down there, it would trip a light. But this car does not have that. Yep. Your light in the middle here is for your high beams. That's for your high beams. That lights up red. And the miles on this car actually spin backwards, but they count forwards, if that makes sense. So like this is the 50 right here, so you can see it's 49, and then it's getting ready to flip over to, of course that's a 7 right here, but there we go. But I got a little stuck just from sitting. But they actually count backwards, so it actually goes counterclockwise, but it's counting forward. So 49, then 50, and then it's counting counterclockwise. So, which is crazy, but It's not a Christine car, that's for sure. But that must have been where maybe Stephen King got that concept from. But yeah, they actually spin counterclockwise, but it's counting forward, if that makes sense. If that's a little Edsel fact there. But this is where we're at, so I don't want to keep blabbing, and I hope this does help a few people. But like I said, it's a 69 Mustang master cylinder, and I'm going to swap that, can't talk here, apologize. I'm going to swap that brake pedal out here for that other original one off that pedal assembly, and I'm going to swap them to actual pedal bottoms or pieces, whatever you want to call it, where you can bolt it at the bottom of the pedal there. Swap them out, take this automatic one, put on the other one, and put that whole assembly in here. Well, just the brake pedal part. And that should correct that. That way the pedal will not be sitting there flopping all over the place. Because I think that's the only thing I could figure is they cut that off, that stop like that, so they can make it bracket there, so they can make the taillights work, which doesn't make sense. I don't know why you would do that. You didn't have to go through all that to cut all that out. You could have just made a little bracket right in front of it, and just, yeah, that throws all the geometry off the pedal and everything else, just flopping around. So we're going to fix that. And because it is the correct push rod. I think when we put that little stop on there, it should get rid of that. So the pedal is probably actually sitting where it's supposed to be, and if that stop was there, you wouldn't be able to pull it up like that. So if that makes sense. But all right, so I'm gonna end the video here, and I'm still waiting on the idler arm. Oh, that's what I was going to show real quick. But I did pull the idler arm off this car, and there's really nothing to it. But you got one bolt on this side, and you got a nut on the other side that goes through right here. And then you got two that go up to the frame that's on the other side. So you got two right here. Got one there, and then you got one down here. So you got these two bolts right here, and then you got that one with a bolt and a nut on the end there. And once you take all that off, everything will come right apart. So that makes it really nice. And I'm pretty sure that this other bolt hole right here says you got two exactly across from each other, and notice it's got this little hole here. I bet that's a little alignment hole right there. But I'm thinking that that was for manual steering. So of course this car originally had power steering, but you know, they're not going to they're going to drill all the frames for manual steering, and then that way then the ones that had power steering, they'll just use just these three. But if that makes sense. But so it's already set up for either or, if that makes sense. But this one right here is probably for a manual steering idler arm, and this hole right here is probably for a little alignment pin that keeps the idler arm centered the way it's supposed to be, because it goes on the other side of the frame here, on the inside of the frame. And so I got to get an idler arm, and well, the bracket they call it, that bolts up to here. And then I got to get the actual idler arm. I'm kind of wondering if they're a little different. But that is a 63, 64 drag link. And I made some videos on that. But did all that mainly because of, again, the suicide steering that was on this car. And I'm not exaggerating that. I mean, that's really the two biggest things I never liked about these cars. I love the Edsels, but the single master cylinders, I never liked them. And I never liked the suicide steering on them, because they got a little kind of like a ball joint at the end of the drag link, and then it wears out really bad, and you'll be, you know, driving your steering wheel like this going down the road, and it's just, that can actually eventually, you know, it's like a ball joint, it might wear out enough and it pops out, and then literally it is a suicide steering is what I call it. And then you know, you run off the road. But that's why they actually got rid of that back then, and they made a solid piece, a solid drag link that didn't have that little pivot ball in it. But that was a Chevrolet thing too. That 59 Biscayne I got had the same kind of design, had that power assist junk on it, which I mean it's good in its time, but you know, I ain't trying to talk bad about it, but it's just, it's very unsafe in my opinion. I do not like single master cylinders, and I do not like suicide steering, which is hence the name power assist. I mean, I like it, it drives nice, but I just don't like the design of it. Like, I like it, but I wouldn't, it's not something I would drive every day, I'll just say that. But yep, so I figured I would show that. And what was that, some other thing I was going to show y'all real quick? Oh yeah, the idler arm. Hold on. Alright, so here's the idler arm off my Edsel here. And let me get this to focus here. So this is off my Edsel here. They are idiot proof. You can't bolt it on backwards. I mean, there's no way you could actually do that. So it actually goes just like this. This goes on your drag link. This bolts to this bracket right here. So here's the bracket. It sits in your frame. So your frame is right here. Frame sits on top here like this. And then this bolts to the side. And then actually it goes like this. This part right here, because your idler arm, this little piece slides up through here. So it actually slide up like this. And because this right here is the inside of the frame. And then this is your outside of the frame. So this is facing out. This is facing the inside of the frame towards the engine. But so these are, like I said, they're kind of pretty much idiot proof. You can't, put this end on here or try and put this other end on here. Even if you do, it's not going to work. It's not going to line up right, because it's just common sense. You can't really put this on wrong. It's idiot proof. So it only goes on, this only fits on one way, so you don't have to worry about that. And these really don't wear out, honestly, unless they're like bent or something. But they don't really wear out. But these bushings do. So these are press fit. You just press them out and press a new one in, and pretty much good to go. It's like replacing the bushings. Same concept as replacing the bushings on that car too. Is I just drive these out and drive another one in. But the problem I was having is these idler arms, well, brackets. They call that this. This is the idler arm, and this is the idler arm bracket. Is what they call it. But the issue I was having is, yeah, I know it had a lot of slop in it. You could wiggle this idler arm back and forth because, the bushing shot. That wasn't really part of it. I mean, it was, but not really. But the drag link was hitting. So when this was bolted up to the frame, like this, the drag link was hitting this edge here, because your power assist, that's what this was for. It actually, that little stud goes through here, and it's got the lock washer and the little nut and goes on the side there. But your power assist, the little push rod, whatever you want to call it, the piston, whatever, goes to this hole here and bolts up like that. But so the issue I was having is the drag link was kind of hitting this. But on the manual steering cars, I've noticed, they don't have none of this. So all this is cut off, and it looks like just a regular old idler. It's something like this, basically. But it's got 2 bolt holes instead of, just one. So I'm trying to figure out what in the world, it's a little longer though, of course, but it's got 1 bolt hole here, then I'll have another one up in here, but it doesn't have any of this stuff. But I'm trying to find a manual steering idler arm, or bracket, for that car, so I can get rid of all this, because I got a clearance issue with that drag link. But then again, it might just be the way the car's sitting. But either way, I kind of we're going to get rid of it, because we're not, as long as I have the car, I'm not putting power assist back on it. So I want to change this bracket out, correct it, and do it the right way to begin with. So I got to find an idler arm. It's going to be kind of hard to do, but you got to watch out. Some of these, you have to take a caliper and measure these, because some of these are different between a 63 and 64 Galaxy. So you got to watch out for that, and you got to watch the link from here to here too. And there's no information on the internet at all, none. So ahead of time with all this stuff, but it's like it's a big mystery. The Edsel mystery. It's a Edsel mystery. That's what it is. But yeah, I got to find just a regular manual steering bracket that doesn't have all this stuff on it, and that can just bolt up. And that should be, what I'm thinking is, it must be a little alignment pin on the other side, and the bolt hole that sets it so it self-aligns, and that way you can bolt it up, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm guessing, but I might not be right on that, but that would make more sense. So I got to find that yet. But anyway, that's what we got, and we got more to come, and I hope this video helps a little bit. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and drop a comment below. If you make a video, hey, better yet, make a video and send me the link to it. And of just if you got a 59 Galaxy or a Fairlane or a Custom 300, and you got the regular manual steering, and you got this bracket underneath your car, make a good video of it, so I can see what this bracket's supposed to look like, and give me a part number too, so I can reference it. Because I can't find nothing on it. They had a few things online, but they had one, like it said, I think it's something weird, like a 51 to a 59 Ford, or a 41 Ford to a 59 Ford, or something like that. But it was really thin in here. looked like literally a piece of steel. It was really thin. That don't even look right, so I don't know. But I want the correct one I need to work with this idler arm. Or either I'm going to run a 63, 64 idler arm in a bracket. Whatever I have to do. But I got to run this style idler arm there, because if I don't, then it's not going to work. I thought about just upgrading the idler arm to a regular style. It's got basically a ball joint style that's pivots in here. You can't unbolt any of that. You just replace the whole shebang and be done with it, like a modern one basically. But the issue with that is the length, and yeah, these are different sizes, and trying to get it to fit that drag link, and it's just, yeah, you're opening up a can of worms. So we're going to keep this. We're not going to change that, but we are going to change this. And even if I have to, I'll come in and I'll find a original one just like this, and I'm sure there's a part number right there. Actually there is, but I had to look that up. But if I have to, I'll come in here and I will notch this out so that drag link will work. But I'm not going to do it to this one, because this is the original one to the car, and I don't want to be tearing up that stuff. If I ever want to put it back original, I want to be able to bolt all this back on. But I like to have another one just like this that I know, I can just notch that out so our drag link, when you turn the wheels back and forth, we get the clearance that we need. So anyway, and either that, or I'd rather just find the correct one. But I know the correct one's got to have 2 bolt holes, and it must have a little pin that goes across, that goes in that hole in that frame that self-aligns it. So you got the correct geometry and everything. But yeah, let me know. I'm trying to find the correct one for that. And just a regular manual steering idler arm bracket. Anyway, thank you for watching. Bye. Until next time.